Hey there, I'm your host, Chris Coraggio. Welcome to the Social Television Network's Leading in the Moment podcast, where we bring in leaders of our community to talk about their stories, what they're doing in this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic that we're all sort of managing our way through. And what a story with the Thunderbirds and the Waste Management Phoenix Open that came out last week. And that's why our guest is Chance Cozby right here. He's the executive director of the Waste Management Phoenix Open and the big chief of the Thunderbirds. Chance, thanks so much for being with us.
You bet. Thanks for having me on and letting us talk about all these charities that are in need right now.
Exactly.
It's a good time
And
for that.
you guys, obviously, the Thunderbirds are always, that's what you guys are built for with the Waste Management Phoenix Open, giving money to so many charities here in Arizona. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I know last week, why don't you just kind of announce, if people don't know, what you guys did solely for this pandemic here in the Valley?
Sure. So I want to kind of separate it. Maybe I'll just kind of set that up, So we're through the Waste Management Phoenix Open. We have a nice, healthy charity give every single year to the community. And we announced that to be about a $14 million give. But that's through Thunderbird Charities, and that's managed by the Thunderbird Charities Board. When this came about, this pandemic and the crisis that we're all in, we felt like that there was an opportunity for us to help out those that are specifically in need right now as a result of the COVID-19 virus. So the Thunderbird Council approved, it's probably been about 2 weeks now, about 12 days ago, the Thunderbird Council approved $1 million emergency community fund that will be funded by the Thunderbirds, not Thunderbird Charities. And so we just felt like at the end of the day, the community supports the Waste Management Phoenix Open. They do it every single year. And because of that, it's a widely successful event and allows us to give these charity dollars back. Naturally, it's time for us to now further our support to the community that has supported us so much. So that's kind of how it came about. And, we make pretty quick decisions in our organization. And, we had our council meeting, and an hour later, we approved the $1 million give. And we wired money to 3 different organizations the following day.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Chance, if you can list the organizations. I know it might be growing. It might be something that's a fluid situation. But who are you giving this emergency funding to, and what is the money, if you know, being used for right now?
Sure. So we started with the Boys and Girls Club of the Valley. When this first hit, I think you probably saw Arizona Governor Ducey came out, and they gave the Boys and Girls Club, I think it was $305,000 or $310,000. It takes about $105,000 to keep the Boys and Girls Club open per week. And a lot of the essential workers, their kids still have to have somewhere to go. And so the Boys and Girls Club is overwhelmed with keeping their doors open, staffing it, and doing social distancing and everything at their level as well. So that was our first give, the Boys and Girls Club of the Valley. Our second give was to St. Mary's Food Bank. St. Mary's Food Bank is a long partner of ours. I think they're the original food bank, or the first food bank in the world. And they just do incredible work. So we were able to give to them just to help them stay operational with all the daily costs of lights and transportation. Their costs, their demand. I did a visit there last week. They usually serve about 600 people a day. And the day that I went, they had already sold 12. They had already served 1,200 people. So they're about double of their normal demand. So that was a natural fit for us. And then St. Vincent de Paul, very, very similar, a good partner of ours. They had some strong needs. And keeping in mind that we're not giving every organization the same amount of money. Everybody has different size and scope and different needs. So we're just evaluating it and making, kind of judgment calls on what we can handle. We did give money to Human Services Campus. Human Services Campus, I've been down there several times. I've been down there twice in the last two weeks. And if you've ever been down there, you understand the need is strong. And so Mike McQuaid, a great friend of both of ours, that the money that we immediately gave was to help with sanitation stations around that area, portable showers and porta potties, things like that. So the community down there that is struggling, to say the least, they have some amenities and they have some just basic life amenities that we all need, of cleaning your hands and taking a shower and so on. So that was a natural gift for us. A unique one we gave to an organization called Family Promise Greater Phoenix. I don't know if we've given to them in the past, but they came to us and they simply needed mattresses. They were overwhelmed with their spaces. They had lost some of their shelters. And so they needed to purchase 32 mattresses. And so we evaluated it and we sent them a grant and said, here you go, go buy 32 mattresses. And then our most recent give is a company called AZ Apparel Foundation. And AZ Apparel Foundation is a local company that is now, they needed to get certified to make PPEs, to make gowns, reusable gowns that could be used in our healthcare system. And so we still have a lot of money that we're going to give out that nowhere near reached $1 million in the companies and organizations that I just named. And we have a lot of options. So right now we're just in that spot of evaluating everybody's asks and evaluating the organizations and doing our best to make decisions on where the rest of the money goes.
And Chance, can you, and I know you at the outset of this interview, you kind of laid it out, but can you describe the difference between the Thunderbird Council and the Thunderbirds when you're talking about the gives?
Yeah, so there's two, there's two different organizations that kind of manage our group. So the Thunderbirds we're the host organization of the Waste Management Phoenix Open. The Waste Management Phoenix Open funds Thunderbird Charities. So the proceeds from our golf tournament, we fund Thunderbird Charities. And then the Thunderbird Charities we have two grant cycles, one in the spring and one in the fall. And we have a Thunderbird Charities board that manages how that money is dispersed into the community. And in fact, our spring cycle for submitting grants is over. And then on next week, we have our first meeting for our spring cycle and how we're going to distribute that money. That's a separate deal. The Thunderbird Council, they manage our organization as a whole, not Thunderbird Charities. And so we have a monthly meeting on all different elements of our business, mainly tournament related, and everything that we do, we sponsor junior golf tournaments, we sponsor the Special Olympics, we go over the finances, just like any other business. So we have that council that manages our business. And that's where the decision was made to put together this $1 million emergency community fund that we did a couple weeks ago. And then Cheryl Ruggiero she manages our charitable efforts. She's an employee of the Thunderbirds. She's been with us for over 20 years and has incredible relationships with all the organizations in town. We give to almost 300 organizations a year. And the first touch point for all those organizations is Cheryl. And so while the Thunderbirds are working from home, I think there's probably safe to say there's one Thunderbird that is working from the office, and that's Cheryl. And it's a busy time. So
when you mentioned most of the the Thunderbirds are working from home. When you guys called, was it an emergency meeting? I know this is being called the 1 million emergency funding, but was it an emergency meeting maybe early last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago when you guys came to this decision for this $1 million?
No, it was a scheduled meeting. We just didn't meet in person. So we're doing exactly what we're doing now.
Sure.
Basically every meeting that we have is on Zoom. And to be candid, I didn't know what Zoom was until about 2 months ago, maybe. And now I feel like it's a significant part of my life. So that was a scheduled meeting. We normally meet in person. Obviously, we did not do that. And but we found the Zoom meetings to be effective, and it was overwhelming. I think there was zero doubt that everyone on the council said, now is obviously the time for us to give. And they've been I send the council an email update every time that we do a give, tell them about the organization, and keep everybody informed.
Yep. And you mentioned the word Zoom. You didn't know it. And I don't think really most of us knew what that was. As we all are learning this new phrase, social distancing, we're learning so much here, Chance, as you know. Let's quickly talk about your tournament, because obviously your tournament, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, got in under the wire, if you will, before everything hit when we're talking about sporting events. By the way, Wimbledon got canceled today. So, I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it did. But what are plans, at least here early on, when we're thinking of the Waste Management Phoenix Open for 2021? I know, again, this is such a new situation for all of us, but can you give us any indication of what type of changes we may see at the TPC of Scottsdale because of this COVID-19?
We've brainstormed a lot of ideas, but it's still pretty early for us. I would say we're obviously very fortunate that our tournament was played this year. But we're just thinking in a different way. I would say we had already done, our tournament chairman is a gentleman named Scott Jenkins. He's a great attorney here in town at Corals and Brady, and he's done a lot of great work over the last 12 months for his vision of growth and change and so on that he wanted to see at the 2021 Waste Management Phoenix Open. And it's really just too early for us to kind of make those calls. And that's the good thing, is that we really build our tournament to order. And so we're in the great situation that we don't really have to make decisions on how we build our property until after the summer. And we understand how renewals are going. I think the most important thing right now is how we communicate and reach out to our customers and our clients, and just check on them and sponsors and see how they're doing, and not talk about the 2021 Waste Management Phoenix Open. Just see, how's your business being affected? What can we do for you? Do you have any needs that we maybe can help you with? Because we are lucky that we're only just a couple months removed from our tournament. We've got plenty of time to think about it, but who knows what the world's going to look like? I think nobody has the crystal ball and nobody has those answers. I think from a golf perspective, I think that we're ready to see when the PGA Tour resumes. Right now, they're scheduled to resume the third week of May at the Charles Schwab Championship at Colonial in Fort Worth, followed by, I believe, the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit at the end of May. As of today, those are still on the calendar and to be played. So I think first and foremost, we probably, we're thinking, let's get through these next 30 days. And hopefully we see some blue skies ahead of that. In the meantime, we are kind of doing business as usual. We're just doing it via Zoom. And so we do a recap of every venue on the property. And so that's from security to concessions to all the different skyboxes on the property, to our parking, to our entrance, and so on and so on. So we're still doing that and doing a kind of unwinding our 2020 event, and with the uncertainty of what 21 looks like. So.
Yeah, we're certainly in a new world, Chance. You know that. So, but anyway, we just want to thank you, the Thunderbirds, the Thunderbird Council, everybody at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, for doing what you do every year. Like you mentioned, 14 million outside of this extra 1 million in emergency funding that is earmarked for the 2021 tournament to give to Arizona Charities. But just this 1 million emergency funding donation, this give, outstanding work. Thank you so much for doing what you do, and thank you so much for being in this Leading in the Moment podcast. You certainly one of the community leaders, and you're doing it here in this moment. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Those are kind words. I mean, I think that we're the ones that need to say thank you. I mean, we enjoy putting on a great PGA Tour event, but we fully understand. Without great partners, without great sponsors, without great volunteers, without the community that we're in, there is no Waste Management Phoenix Open. And there is no, 12, 13, 14, $15 million give that we're able to do every single year. So the community supports our event, and it's a great circle of money coming in and charitable dollars going out. And we're just kind of the platform to be able to do it. So I would say that we're honored and we're grateful, and we're going to do all that we can do. I mean, the only number that we care about is our charitable give. A lot of people talk about our attendance. We haven't announced attendance for a couple of years because it's just not relevant to us. And I think now, it's more relevant than ever that we're going to give and do our part. And so I appreciate you having us on your show here, and
yep.
And hopefully anything that we said kind of inspires others that maybe they can give with their time, give with their resources, or give with their money, whether it's $5 or $50 or $500 or whatever the number is. I mean, I think every little bit helps. So.
Yep, that's the whole point. Chance Cozby, the Executive Director of the Waste Management Phoenix Open and the Big Chief of the Thunderbirds. Thank you once again. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
You got it.